It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And joining us now here with some big breaking news is John Solomon with Just the News, the great investigative journalist. John, what's going on? You've got some interesting stuff on J.D. Vance.
Oh, yes. A scary incident just a little bit ago. His plane had to make an emergency landing at Milwaukee Mitchell Field, the international airport in Milwaukee, because a door seal had a malfunction. It's a 737 plane, and as you know, door seals have been a big issue. There's been some recalls and investigative hearings and federal investigations of Boeing over these 737s. The vice presidential nominee was able to land safely. They got the problem fixed. They sent him back up in the air, and he's back on the campaign trail. But a moment of harrowing concern inside the Trump campaign. A couple of weeks ago, Donald Trump had a similar plane problem and door seal, but he had to divert and land for a brief repair on his way to Montana. And so these things happen on the campaign trail, but a lot of people talking about that right now.
Yeah, by the way, thank goodness he's okay, right? Everybody's okay.
That's fine.
Okay,
they're back on their way. They're ready. They're back in the air already.
Awesome. And you have some new polls, some really interesting new polls.
A lot of people were wondering how long would the Kamala Harris honeymoon last. Now, with the media, it may last a little bit longer, but not with the American people. The race has swung a total of 6 points in just the last 2 weeks. On August 2nd, in the polls that have been done by the great pollster Scott Rasmussen, Kamala Harris was up 5 points on Donald Trump. Today, she's down 1 point. And when you take leaners, meaning people that are leaning towards who their favorite candidate but haven't committed yet, Trump is up 3 points, a sign that there's bigger energy on the Republican side and that Donald Trump is back in the lead. And the race has kind of been reset back now to June 27, just before that disastrous Joe Biden debate. Kamala Harris having a lot of problems in her rollout. The Waltz VP has come under relentless scrutiny because they've given us false stories. They've given us false statements. And that's caused the problem. But perhaps today was the roughest day of all for Kamala Harris. She hoped to reset the economic arguments for her and distance herself a little bit by the Joe Biden campaign, try to convince people she can get on inflation. Her idea was to impose price controls. And oh, my goodness, did she get savaged from all angles, including from the left. Price controls, of course, are things that have started in the Marxist economies. They have never worked, and they're widely panned by both liberal and conservative economists in America. For some reason, she decided to go down that road. Even the liberal Washington Post slammed her, saying, hey, if you don't want to be called a communist, Kamala Harris, don't propose price controls, because that's what communists do. It's been a really rough day on a day she had hoped would be the message point on her economy and how her economy would be a little different than Joe Biden. It turned out to be different, all right, but more like a communist one.
And also, Trump is coming out saying it's sort of the Maduro economy. You also have some big stuff on Tim Walz. Interesting on the DUI. Some people are catching up to some of your reporting, John Solomon, real quick.
Yeah, listen, he hasn't told us the truth about it. A long time he said he wasn't drinking that day. Well, he clearly was.
This is the DUI, right? DUI back in
1995. Yeah. And for years he's gotten away talking about like it wasn't DUI, it was a misunderstanding. He blew above the legal limit, and I think that's one. But just a few minutes ago, the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, just announced that they're opening an investigation into Tim Walz's 30 trips to China and his connection to some Chinese think tanks that are tied to the CCP. This is not exactly what Kamala Harris had in mind when she picked Tim Walz. She thought she'd be getting a strong national security guy, but now his allegiance to China, his connections to China under official congressional investigation. That just happened about an hour ago.
Wow. So Congress is looking into those 30 trips from Tim Walz. Again, he picked the anniversary, right, to coincide with the anniversary of Tiananmen Square. This is wild. Before I let you go, John Solomon, other big, huge news, and this just reinforces why you don't have a wide open border. There's this guy is a reputed Peruvian gang leader. He was arrested in New York. And he was suspected of 23 killings, and he gets released. Is that right? Explain how this happened.
He's been wanted for a long time. Somehow he shows up in New York on our territory. He's a gang leader, Gianfranco Torres Navarro, one of the more notorious gang members in the world, not just in Peru, but in the world. He's wanted for killing 23 people in his home country. ICE got him. They announced it earlier today. Torres Navarro illegally entered the U.S. through the southern border in Texas in May. and he was arrested before being told to appear in court for immigration proceedings. And now they realize he's the bad guy they've been looking for, so they've got him in custody. This is a big win, not only for the United States, but for Peru, that has wanted to prosecute him and bring him to justice for a long time.
How did he get arrested? Explain to me, and also, how did he slip through? I mean, you got a guy with 23 arrests, John Solomon. Don't you think alarm bells should be running off?
You would think so, but listen, this is an administration that let the guy in that they thought was going to try to assassinate Donald Trump so they could watch him for a while, right? We got the Pakistani guy a couple of weeks ago. He's led into the country. Man, the border is not only loose and so easy to get through, but even when we get someone, we sometimes make decisions that have people in Congress scratching their head, like, why have we released 100 people on the terrorist watch list? After we stopped them, we let them into the country, according to Jim Jordan. Well, this guy got in as well, but fortunately, he's been arrested, and right now, he doesn't pose a threat anymore. Yes
or no? Did they know who he was, or was it that Peru didn't give the information? I mean, that's incredible when he crossed the border. Real quick, John.
It does look like they had a flag on him, so when he came through, they were able to grab him.
They were able to grab him later.
Yes, but they knew he was flagged. So, obviously he got in illegal to begin with. Could have been in the got-away areas. We don't know exactly how he got in, but eventually he's arrested in Texas. We think he was a got-away, meaning he got through in a place where he wasn't confronted right away. Then he's identified, he's arrested. Once they arrest him, they know this is the guy they've been looking for. They roll him up. But, hey, those gotaways are what we've been pointing at. That's a very dangerous pattern. People we don't ever see are getting in the country. Yep. They're often the people that have the most to hide from us.
Yeah, absolutely. John Solomon, wow, this is big stuff today. Thank you very much. We always love having you on, the great investigative journalist. Thanks for joining Katz and Cosby.
Yeah, great to be with you, Rita. Thank you so much.